last week debating a bunch of right-wing assholes because we had this tragic shooting of the two National Guardsmen, and Donald Trump is like, well, I'm going to shut down all asylum seekers. We're going to kick all these people out of the country. We're going to demagogue them. And I'm like, are you aware that like 60-70% of all mass shooters are white men?
Quite clearly that this is not about safety. This is not about law and order. It is about white supremacy. Then we need to have a serious conversation, because if you're siding with that, then they're going to come after you next.
Hey everyone, I was supposed to be with Qasim Rashid, but I think he got called away for a second. So I'm just going to go ahead and go live. And this is something that's been bothering me, and I hope it bothers most of you, is the level of just unhinged, pure, unadulterated hate against Somalis, against refugees, against immigrants, against Afghans, and against Muslims. It is so ramped up now. It is so pure. The hoods are off, and not only are the hoods off, they've just been putting on swastikas and doing the goose steps and the zig heils. I mean, I don't know if you've been following Fox, right-wing media, right-wing news, the Trump administration. You would think they would temper it. You would think it'd be, you know what, Donald Trump didn't mean that. Oh, you know what, not all Somalis are bad. Oh, no, folks. They have gone all in and embraced this hate, whether it's Fox News, whether it's the right wing, and a lot of this latest wave, if you will. And I just want to keep the receipts and connect the dots for everyone. Now, you could take the DeLorean way back, which I will for a second, but this latest wave of anti-Muslim, anti-Somali bigotry, it is the worst hate that I've seen in the 14 years I've been covering it. When Barack Obama, our first Muslim president, I kid, was elected. If you all recall, what did they say? His father is a Muslim. I don't know if he's Muslim or not. I take him at his word. You all remember that? This was 2007, 2008, for those who are young. Furthermore, and I know some people might not like hearing this, it was the Democrats who went along with Mitch McConnell and said, I'll take him at his word, because at that time it was neck and neck race between Obama and Clinton. And yes, Hillary Clinton said, I'll take him at his word. The same Hillary Clinton who just 2 days ago just shamefully participated in this Miriam Adelson pro-Israel junket, where she blamed the TikTok and propaganda for young people around the world being radicalized against Israel's genocide. I'm serious. Go look at what Hillary Clinton said. And I'm like, Hillary Clinton, I'm sorry, it's time for you to retire. Please don't talk anymore, especially about this issue. So that Hillary Clinton, who, yes, just a couple of days ago voluntarily said, sure, Miriam Adelson, the wife of Sheldon Adelson, one of the worst people on earth, most anti-Palestinian person on earth, let me join your pro-Israel junket, and then blame TikTok and propaganda for radicalizing the youth. Mike, I emailed you. Actually, I wanted to bring Mike on. I just emailed Mike. I said, Mike, can you join me? I want to defend Somalis, immigrants, and Muslims. So I'm going to bring Mike Nellis on. Let's see if he accepts. So this has been happening, really, like the war on terror, where 1940. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining me, man. Last second. Mike
We only got
Nellis.
about 5 minutes.
All right, Mike, you jump in first, and I'll take. I'll respond. Real quick, I was talking about the type of hate that's happened against Somalis, against Afghans, against Muslims in the past week. I haven't seen this level of hate in 15 years. It's the worst ever. The hoods are off. Not only are the hoods are off, I said they've been replaced with goose steps and zig heils and swastikas, and the entirety of Fox and the right wing has doubled down on this. There's no tempering. Trump has openly said, I hate all Somali people. They're garbage people. And this is where we need, especially white folks, to step in and help. And what I've been really comforted by is I haven't seen the Democrats right now throw immigrants under the bus, Somalis under the bus, and Muslims under the bus. Instead, I see them to say, you know what? This is too much. And specifically, this is where we need all of us to step up, because last week it was Afghans. At the beginning of the year was Haitians. Now it's Somalis. It's against the libs, the Antifa. It's against all of us. Your take on this?
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of things. Like when I saw Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, speaking Somali and standing up for
That was
his
awesome.
community there, which was awesome. So look, I mean, I think they're desperate politically, and they're going to go after people. They're going to other people, and they're going to continue to attack. And like, I got really pissed off last week debating a bunch of right-wing assholes because we had this tragic shooting of the two National Guardsmen, and Donald Trump is like, well, I'm going to shut down all asylum seekers. We're going to kick all these people out of the country. We're going to demagogue them. And I'm like, are you aware that like 60-70% of all mass shooters are white men? Like, when are we going to fucking do anything about that? So to me, it's the obvious natural consequence of them being backed up. They got to blame everything on somebody else. They can't take responsibility for anything that they're doing. So they're going to go after Black and brown Americans. They're going to go after ethnicities. They're going to go after communities that people don't understand. And they're going to gin up a bunch of hatred and scare the shit out of people because that's all they have now. It's gross.
Qasim Rashid, a Muslim, an actual immigrant born in Pakistan, is here now. I sent him an invite. He has to run as well. But we got Mike here for 2 more minutes. Qasim, I said I needed a white man to stand up for Somalis, immigrants, and people of color. And Mike's like, I will put on my cape, and with 2 minutes left, I will come in. But Mike, I'll go right before I go to Qasim, and thanks for joining us. With my final question to you, and before I let you shamelessly promote yourself as well, is the grand irony, Mike, is that they are desperate. They are floundering. He's negative double digits on immigration. He's negative double digits on the economy. He's a dying man. This man is dying before our eyes. He ran on lowering grocery prices. Now he says affordability is a con. He's negative 35 on Epstein. And as he's going after Somalis and Afghans, as he's calling them scammers and fraudsters and leeches and moochers and violent, rapists, he literally, Mike, I'm using the word literally as it's meant to be used, is pardoning friggin' violent people, fraudsters, and drug traffickers. Explain this to me, Mike.
I can't. I mean, other than it's just outright corruption, right? Like they're in a terrible, shitty place, and they're stealing the China and taking as much as they can on the way out the door. Like I don't know what deal he made with Henry Cuellar yesterday to pardon him. And I saw multiple people were like, "Oh, it's an attempt to divide the Democrats," and I'm like, "No, it's not. He was on trial for taking $600,000 in bribes, and like I get that he's part of my tribe. Okay, fine, but like." We should root that out of the party too. Like, or at a bare minimum, it should have gone to trial. And if he was innocent, he would have been found innocent. And we could have moved on from that. So, I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of demagoguing people. I'm sick of going after immigrants. I'm sick of the corruption and the bullshit pardons. I've had enough. And we're not doing anything to help people because go look at the Black Friday numbers. Like they broke the record for the most sales, but volume was down. 95% of people financed it. Half of all of the spending was from the top like 10% of consumers. And of the people who financed it, 95% financed it, only 64% said they were going to pay it in the next like 30 to 40 days, which means all these people are going to carry this debt and this credit to finance their Christmas. And meanwhile, Donald Trump's building himself a ballroom and making deals in the Middle East. And it's bullshit. And I appreciate you calling me in as your resident white man today.
No,
sorry,
that was Ben. You put on the cape and you're like, I will be here. And I really
listen. Here's the problem though. I'm Italian, so like I'm only white to like half of them. So
and you know what? We'll end on this before I let you go. And I know you have 5 minutes. I know Qasim only has 10 minutes, but I'm so glad you mentioned the Italian part, folks. This is why white supremacy is so failed. Why it's a loser ideology. Italians were not considered white in this country. The Irish were not considered white in this country. Germans were not considered white in this country. It's like a hazing process. Italians, everything they're saying about Somalis right now, they said against Italians in the 1920s. Fifth column, they'll outbreed us. They'll never be American. They're fraudsters. They're criminals. They're gangsters. And then they were allowed to, Italians, the Irish, and Germans were allowed to assimilate due to the white melanin in their skin. That's it. But everything else is exactly what they're saying against Somalis, Muslims, and Afghans. And this is why we need people like Mike who know their history. The white Americans who are Italian and Irish and are German and Russian and say, oh shit, they did this against us as well. F you. We're not going to stand for it. So, Mike,
I'll leave you with two. I'll leave you with two more things too, which is, one, I grew up in a household with an Italian mother, and all my friends thought she was Latino. The whole time I get asked all the time, and they're like, "Why are you so white?" She's not. Well, I got the Irish half of the skin, but if I'm in the sun, like I look a lot darker. Don't get me wrong, I'm a white man. I'm not claiming any bit of that shit. But then the other thing, I don't know if you've ever seen. You've certainly seen the movie Ted, right?
Yeah.
Did you watch the TV show on Peacock?
No, I've seen clips. I haven't seen it.
I highly recommend it because one of the very first scenes of the movie is the racist uncle in the show talking about how he's not racist because Rocky's his favorite movie. And they go, why? Because there's a black guy in it? He goes, no, because Rocky's Italian and we decided that they're white now. And he's my favorite character because the Cubans are here. And so it just goes to show you it's a great bit of satire about how it's all fucking arbitrary. It's all fucking arbitrary. And it's just a way to hold people down.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. As you go, shamelessly promote yourself.
I'm Mike Nellis. My Substack is Endless Urgency, endlessurgency.com. If you want to subscribe, find me wherever you get your social media.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming
Thanks.
in. And
Talk to you
this
later.
is Qasim Rashid. Qasim, speaking about Henry Cuellar, I saw your post and I was on point. I said, I don't give a shit if it's a Democrat, just like I don't care if it's Democrats, liberals in the Epstein files. If a person has committed the crime, do the time. And you're not helping me by pardoning Henry Cuellar. You're not helping me by pardoning the venture capitalist who defrauded thousands of Americans to the tune of $1.6 billion. You're not helping me by pardoning the ex-Honduran president who drug trafficked people. You're not pardoning me by pardoning the 1,600 violent insurrectionists. Maybe these Somalis should do their crimes while wearing a MAGA hat. Donald Trump will pardon them. Your response to what you've been witnessing right now, the juxtaposition between Donald Trump's cruelty, literally favoring white criminals while demonizing Somali Muslims.
I was on Piers Morgan's show talking about this last night, and you know, for me, it always goes back to the data and the facts. Like, what do the facts actually tell us? The demonization and the name calling, I think, is petulant and petty. And I think anyone with any sense of self-respect or integrity recognizes that this is just not the way we want to raise our children. Like, you wouldn't, see your kids fighting and calling each other names and then join in on one of them calling the other one a name, right? You would tell them, no, this is wrong. We shouldn't treat people this way. So why is it okay if a president does the same thing? So that's the first thing. The data is actually really clear on this. And I was talking about this. The Cato Institute, which, by the way, is a conservative think tank. It's by no means some like liberal, left-wing, blue-haired, whatever your idea of a liberal is. It's a conservative think tank. And they've done the data on asylum seekers and refugees and whatnot. And they found that you can literally count on one hand. Since World War II, you can count on one hand how many asylum seekers have harmed Americans. And up until this Afghan, CIA-trained death squad killer, killed a National Guard person, it was zero. That's literally the first documented example. You have a 1 in 4 billion chance of being killed by an asylum seeker in the United States throughout American history. And just to put that in perspective of just how rare that is, you have a 4,000 times higher likelihood of being shot by an American with a gun in this country. And so, if you see two possibilities, one of them gives you a 4,000 times higher likelihood of getting hurt, which one are you going to take? Or let me put it a different way. If you have two possibilities and one of them gives you a 4,000 times higher likelihood of winning the lottery, which one are you going to take? And that's kind of the scenario here as well. I'm trying to turn it on its head because being shot is not winning the lottery. I'm trying to show that the chances of asylum seekers hurting you are very low. But it's this lack of basic moral compass that we have in this situation. And it's become a scenario where the folks that are being rounded up by these ICE fascists, here in Chicago, 97.4%. This is from the DOJ itself. 97.4% have no criminal record whatsoever. In North Carolina, more than 70%. Los Angeles, more than 70%. In fact, I think 91% a couple of years ago, no criminal record whatsoever. Meanwhile, ProPublica, I found that more than 150 U.S. citizens have been arrested and detained by ICE fascists and attempted to be deported, almost all Latino. So if this doesn't portray quite clearly that this is not about safety, this is not about law and order, it is about white supremacy, then we need to have a serious conversation, because if you're siding with that, then they're going to come after you next. And that's just the way fascism works. It starts by demonizing a minority, and then it looks for the people who are aligned and then pushes them to a point where they're like, you know what? No, now the cheetah is eating my face and I don't want this to come after me. Well, it's too late at that point. It's going to come after you.
And we've seen it in real time. They started with Haitians, then last week it was Afghans, and now it's Somalis, and now it's Muslims. And I was telling folks right before you jumped on that you and I have been in this game for a long time. This is the worst I've seen it. The most open, egregious hate, the promotion of white supremacist conspiracies, using the word remigrate, which is only used in white supremacist circles, which means ethnic cleansing, folks. The DHS is not using it. Right-wing pundits are now using it.
Sorry to cut you off, but I want to interject really quickly. If you study the history of the word remigrate, this was official Nazi policy.
Yes.
This was official Nazi policy that they wanted to remigrate Jewish people out. And this is where Netanyahu rightfully got in trouble for making this insane remark a couple of years ago where he said Hitler didn't want to kill the Jews, he just wanted to transfer them. As if one, that's ethnic cleansing is okay, and two, why the hell is the Prime Minister of Israel defending Hitler? It's just mind-boggling to me. It's insane to me. If anybody else has done that, they would have been canceled, rightfully so, but of course he gets to say it and get away with it. But this is actual Nazi policy. This is not like, well, maybe it's a dog whistle. No, it's a bullhorn. It's a loudspeaker saying, "Hey, we are the Trump regime, and we are going to advance Nazi policy." I don't understand why folks are still pretending that fascism isn't here. But anyway, I just wanted to interject that.
No, I'm glad you said that. I've been saying this for weeks, and I'm not trying to do a told you so. I swear. I've been following this for 14 years, folks. I tweeted and said this a couple years ago that by 2024 and 2025, white supremacist conspiracy theories and language will be mainstream, and people thought I was crazy. I was wrong. Neo-Nazi and Nazi conspiracies and words will be mainstream. They're openly using the word remigrate now. They're talking about American sovereignty. They're promoting. Remember the Coast Guard last week said that the swastika wasn't a symbol of hate, and they're like, oh well, that went. But people have forgotten that. I haven't. The noose, Confederate flag, and swastika are no longer symbols of hate. And then people said, you know what? Maybe you went too far with the swastika. They're like, okay. And then a day and a half later, they walked it back. The 2,900 pages of text between the young Republican leaders in their 30s and 20s, where they're promoting stuff like saying, I love Hitler, 1488, which is the white supremacist slogan, wishing the rest of us are thrown into gas chambers. Paul Ingracia, who said, I have a Nazi streak. Laura Loomer, of all people, Laura Loomer last week tweeted, Qasim, the GOP has a Nazi problem. So even Laura Loomer now gets it. And the amazing thing is, Qasim, it took 10 years because I was doing the DeLorean. I was talking about how we coddled white supremacy. We infantilized Donald Trump's white supremacy. We gave it euphemisms like a racial trip-up, racial flare-up. This is nothing new. The first administration, he said, why do they come from shithole countries? The first administration, he said, the squad, go back to your own country. The first administration, he did a Muslim ban, right? This is who he is. And it took New York Times until him literally saying, I hate Somalis, they're garbage, I want them all out, to say, wow, he might be xenophobic. And I took the DeLorean before you came on to say, this goes back to the war on terror. The casual Islamophobia that was embraced by the establishment, because it was Hillary Clinton who said, I'll take Obama at his word that he's a Muslim. The embrace of Bill Maher, the white liberals ignored us when we said Bill Maher is a racist piece of shit. But they're like, yeah, he hates the Arabs and Muslims in Palestine, but that's okay. The anti-Sharia legislation, the mainstreaming of the Islamophobia that has led to this moment right now. And I know Democrats might hate hearing this, but by the corporate establishment. Your take on that?
I think you're speaking truth, Wajahat. It's this whole strategy to see what minority can we throw under the bus and still get the votes we need. And the corporate establishment of the Democratic Party seems to have this insane view that we can out Republicans. We can out bigots. And look, we know where Republicans stand. We know that they're like, hey, we are the party of white nationalism, and that's just the way we're planting our flag, our very white flag, and that's where we're going to be. Why do Democrats keep trying to out Republicans? This, going back to where we started this conversation with Hakeem Jeffries praising Henry Cuellar, praising Donald Trump. Dude, this man was being bribed, and his wife, $600,000 by what, Azerbaijan, for I don't know what? It doesn't matter what country. The fact that you're being bribed by a foreign country is a fundamental problem. And what I would have loved for Hakeem Jeffries to have said is, look, we want no kings in this country. We want due process of law. We want the Constitution. And we're not just going to be happy with this because the guy is on our team. We demand accountability and justice. We should have let due process play out. And by the way, I'm no longer supporting him. We will be supporting a primary challenger against him because in this party, rule of law matters. No kings matters. You cannot give me this waxing eloquent about no kings and then do the exact same goddamn thing. It's insane to me. It's absolutely asinine to me. And the fact that the party still doesn't understand this is infuriating. Afton Benn, who just ran a brilliant race for Congress in Tennessee's 7th District, turned a 22-point negative to a 9-point negative, 13-point swing. And she did it by running as an unapologetic progressive. She didn't throw Muslims under the bus. She didn't throw trans folks under the bus. She didn't throw immigrants under the bus. She didn't throw Somalis under the bus. She ran as an unapologetic progressive and got 13 points more than Kamala Harris did. And by the way, Kamala Harris did it in a presidential turnout. She did this in a special election turnout. That shows the power of simply leaning into your values and fighting for what you actually believe in based on principles. You will activate more people and win more people to your cause if you actually lead with these values. And why Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer haven't figured that out yet is mind-boggling to me. It's so mind-boggling to me because I think at this point, their refusal to get on board with what the majority of Americans want is now going to be the reason why Donald Trump will continue to stay in power. When you praise Trump because he pardoned your criminal as opposed to his criminal, people see the hypocrisy. And until and unless these corporate sellouts get with the program, I don't think our country has a hope of truly taking back power from Donald Trump and MAGA fascists.
Let me respond with my mini rant before I give it back to Qasim. And I know people will say, no, you have to blame the Republicans only. But like I said, me and Qasim have been in this for a long time. The war on terror happened when I was a UC Berkeley student. I've seen the establishment support the war on terror, which was a choice to support the creation of the Patriot Act, to support the creation of ICE, to support the murder of more than 1 million Iraqis, to traumatize and destroy Afghanistan for 20 years, to drone strike Pakistanis and Yemenis and Somalis, to casually flirt with Islamophobia, to throw Ilhan Umar under the bus, to casually flirt with the mega mosque at Ground Zero bullshit framing, to literally throw immigrants under the bus with the Lake and Riley Act, to throw transgender people under the bus. That's what Gavin Newsom did at the beginning of the year when he hosted Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon, to throw black people under the bus as super predators, to throw Mexicans under the bus, Somalis under the bus. I'm sorry, it's the establishment. And speaking about Hakeem Jeffries and why I've been saying for the longest time that Jeffries has to go, is they're part and parcel of the same team, the same group. It's a big club. So literally, they cannot read the room because they lack the vision, they lack the sight. They're part of this incestuous group where you would say, Henry Cuellar, he did the crime, he should do the time. Instead, Jeffrey said, he's my guy. And then furthermore, I'll give you another example, choice between Mamdani and disgraced Cuomo that you threw out of the party. They went all in for Cuomo, folks. This is what's happening in real time. And then, Qasim, you missed me. You came on right after I talked about this 2 days ago. I don't know if you saw that Hillary Clinton said yes to Sheldon Adelson's widow's pro-Israel rally, where Hillary Clinton should have said no because he was the world's worst people, anti-Palestinian bigots. She said yes. Not only she said yes, she went there and she blamed TikTok for radicalizing young people's views on Israel, not the genocide. And speaking about the genocide and Muslims, Kamala Harris's campaign had a choice to literally move away from Joe Biden, or at the very least, and this is just from a year ago, invite a Palestinian on the stage. Just a year ago, not 5 years ago, not 3 years ago, not 2 years ago, just a year ago. And Qasim, they didn't even invite a Palestinian to the stage. So are you and me crazy and bitter? Or are we just bringing facts?
We're bringing facts, and I think we're also bitter, but we're also taking action as well.
I'm not bitter. I just feel like the racism is so clear, man.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. I was there at the DNC last year. I was Roa Rahman's a good friend. She's a state legislature
From Georgia.
In Georgia. Great leader. We had the speech ready. It was vetted. It was approved. They invited, rightfully so, survivors, families of the hostages from Israel. Why wouldn't you also have a Palestinian family speak about the Palestinian experience and humanize them? That's one. Two, let's talk about Hillary Clinton for a second. I don't understand why she's still relevant in the Democratic Party. I don't actually understand what she brings to the table. Her continued demonization of marginalized and minority communities is disgusting. It's racism, it's white supremacy, and we need to acknowledge it and call it out for what it is. For her to go on the stage from Miriam Adelson, who, by the way, was one of the main reasons why Donald Trump is in power. Just think about the psychosis here. The woman who is responsible for Donald Trump being in power because she gave him absurd amounts of money, the woman who you were warning about during your campaign that the people supporting Trump are evil people who should not be trusted, you're going to take her invitation to go? Like, first of all, you are proving when people say it's two wings, one bird. That's one. Two, for you to ignore the so-called wall of dead children, as it's so callously referred to now, and think that people are so stupid that they're going to be radicalized by a couple of TikTok videos and not by the actual facts on the ground, attested to by Amnesty International, United Nations, Human Rights Watch, Bet Salim, an Israeli human rights organization. what's the Israeli soldiers organization? Breaking the Silence.
Yeah.
Former Israeli soldiers were acknowledging that this is a genocide. It is mind-boggling to me that you have that little respect for the American people and for young Jewish people, who she also called out as a think that we are going to be influenced by something like one video, while that video is also backed up by hundreds and hundreds of testimonies and thousands of people and dozens of organizations. And the last point I'll make is this. For her to make all that statement about TikTok and ignore the ground reality that Netanyahu, in violation of international human rights law, is banning all media and journalists from reporting, has killed more than 255 journalists, more journalists killed in World War II and Vietnam combined, and then say, stop criticizing Israel, you're being anti-Semitic, just believe Netanyahu, a credibly accused war criminal. I'm sorry, but you've told me exactly who you are. Somebody referred to her as Henry Kissinger in drag, and I think that's a pretty accurate statement.
Okay, and my response to this, folks, is people are like, well, why are you talking about just the establishment? Because this is what has gotten us to this in the first place. The only reason why Republicans are so emboldened in their outright Nazi hate, Nazi, use one word, Nazi. You don't have to do economic anxiety, racial trip up, racial flare up, white supremacy, white nationalist, racist. You can use that word. It's a safe space. They're literally using Nazi words now. They're literally promoting a Nazi ideology. They're tweeting it out from the DHS, the Department of Labor, the State Department. You had the president, Donald Trump. He was sleeping because he's dying before our eyes. Wake up and say, I hate all Somali people. He didn't say Somali refugees, Somali criminals. He said Somalis. Call them garbage people. And the reason why he's gone to this place, because it has been normalized, infantilized. I'll give you another receipt. A person who made money by radicalizing young people and bringing out the worst demons was Charlie Kirk. I can go top of my head and tell you all the horrible shit that he said against black people, against Latinos, against Muslims. It was all there. He said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. One of his last tweets was Islam was a sword used by the left to slit the throat of Western civilization. He was the person who wanted to pardon David DePape, the man who almost killed Nancy Mace's husband. He promoted the replacement theory, a Nazi conspiracy theory, Qasim, that is now mainstreamed and used by the GOP. And what did the establishment say? Well, just a couple of months ago, he did politics the right way.
Yeah.
And now, folks, if you've seen, they first started with Haitians, then it moved on last week to Afghans. Now they've gone all in against Somalis, the type of hate, man, I have not seen in a long time. It's top down. President, Trump administration, Marco Rubio, Fox, they're gleefully, Qasim, did you see Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld gleefully like frothing at the mouth, having boners, imagining maimed Venezuelans? They wanted to see limbs, right? These war crimes that are happening in real time, right? They wanted more and more and more, right? And as this is happening, what we're seeing is a shift, Qasim. What we're seeing is a poll came out today that 69% of Americans say this rhetoric has gone too far. And what we're seeing is a shift with the young Democrats in particular saying, oh, wait, you can't throw the woke under the bus. And the timing of this is so exquisite because last week, James Carville, I don't know if you saw, I was on a plane on Monday. I was on a plane coming back and I saw one quote. I'm like, oh my God, James Carville gets it. Economic populism. And then someone sent me the entire essay, down with the woke, embrace economic populism. I'm like, oh, you were so close. And then Tim Miller of Bulwark, and I know people are like, why do you always shit on these people? Because I know them. The Tim Millers, the neocons, the Hillary Clintons, the establishment. What did Tim Miller say? James Carville was right. Because they think, Qasim, they can throw the rest of us under the bus. They can throw the woke under the bus and still get in power. They think they can avoid race and racism and people of color and immigrants. Obama and Mamdani couldn't, Qasim. Why? He's a black man. He's a brown Muslim. They had to confront it. And what I've said, and I want your thoughts on this, is Democrats, you can't throw the woke under the bus. We're your shadow. The two enduring sins of America are white supremacy and capitalism. You're literally witnessing it this week. If you think it's just going to be economic populism without the woke, you're going to lose and you're wrong. You need to confront both. And if you're unwilling to confront racism, confront your own racism, talk to your own family members, confront your own bias. And if you're still willing to throw people of color, and especially Muslims and immigrants, under the bus, you're going to lose. And Mamdani proved that you don't have to do that in order to succeed. That's my rant. Your response to me.
And it's all backed by data. I mean, Mamdani proved that. I remember the moment he won the election was when he was asked in the primary debate. As soon as he was asked in the primary debate that once you get into power or once you're elected, what is the first thing that you're going to do? And everybody said, I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to go to the Holy Land. I'm going to go to Jerusalem. I'm going to make my 5th trip, my 17th trip. I'm going to move there. One person stood up and said, I'm going to stay right here and support my fellow New Yorkers. And that was Zoran Mamdani. And you saw the power of that, where people were like, holy crap, a guy who actually cares about the local constituency. Sam Rasool, Palestinian American delegate in rural Virginia, has been reelected 5-6 times, and an unapologetic progressive, refusing to throw any minority under the bus for any reason whatsoever. And so they got tired of running Republicans against him, so they tried to run an independent against him, and he won by 50 points. Again, this is the power of leading with your values. And look, the fact remains, whatever issue you want, you give me any issue, healthcare. The majority of Americans support universal healthcare. A living wage. The
Do
majority
they
of
now? I haven't seen
Americans.
the latest poll. Do the majority of Americans support universal health care now? I thought it was at 40ish.
No. It's always been in the low to mid 60s for universal healthcare. Always.
Wow.
Yeah. And among Democrats, it's even higher. But universal healthcare, because it's a difference between it's and again, it's the framing, right? Telling them that it's a socialist, communist takeover versus, hey,
Gotcha.
don't you wish you could have healthcare where you could just talk to your doctor without an insurance company intervening? And every single person's like, well, yeah, obviously. Why the hell would I want an insurance company telling me what healthcare I can and can't get? And once people understand that that's what it actually is, people support overwhelmingly. A living wage, same thing. The majority of Americans support it. Affordable housing. I mean, I was talking to somebody about affordable housing, and I'm like, we should build affordable housing, and in fact, we should provide housing for low-income people. And the answer was, well, no, that's communism. I don't want to do it. And I said, well, you know what? In Alabama, they're building housing that's going to be free for people at $300,000 a bed. And they said, well, that's horrible. We shouldn't do that. I'm like, okay, well, here's a twist. That's a prison they're building at $300,000 a bed, a prison system. Do you really think that's the best use of our tax dollars to house somebody incarcerated at $300,000 a bed? Not a house, a bed. Imagine what we could do from an affordable housing standpoint to prevent the prison industrial complex. And so this is a reality that every single data point shows that we have abundance, we have enough, we have more than enough. These billionaires are focused on trying to get us to fight one another. And this is why I will refuse to go into the dehumanizing rhetoric that Trump does. I will not call MAGAs as subhuman or animals or garbage. I just won't do it because these are our fellow neighbors, are our human beings. I will vehemently disagree with them, and I will call out Nazi and fascist ideology. But that's the ideology I'm calling out. I will not refer to a Republican as a subhuman. I just don't think it makes any sense to do that. I want to reach folks and let them understand that I'm not your enemy. The billionaires wanting us to fight each other, that's our common enemy that we need to stand united against. Because I promise you, they do not care if I drown. They do not care if you drown. And if we can get leaders on the Democratic Party to actually lead on these values instead of trying to become more Republican than Republicans, I think we're not only going to win elections, but we'll win them in such a landslide that we can get past this MAGA fascism and put it to bed once and for all.
Yeah, but the problem is, what happens if you're still sucking at the corporate teat, and what happens if you're
Exactly.
unwilling to confront racism and give up your white supremacist ideology and your white privilege? And voila, this is America. And I still believe the two enduring sins of America are racism and greed. And there's a great cartoon, I'm sure that single cartoon panel where Rupert Murdoch is sitting at the head of the table with the plate filled with cookies, and then to the left of him is a poor white worker, and to the right of him is a poor black worker, and he looks at the white worker and says, he's stealing all your cookies.
Right.
That's what the Republicans are literally doing in real time right now. They're drinking up all your milkshake, and they're dividing us around racism and class. That's what they did with the Southern strategy. LBJ knew it. He was from the South. That famous quote of his that I'll paraphrase is, if you give a white man someone to look down on, not only will he give you his vote, he'll empty out his damn pockets for you, right?
Yeah.
And so we need enough white folks right now. And I'm telling you, folks, enough white folks and some people of color who think they're white, but they're not, to wake up, to to realize that fascists are coming after everyone. If you don't believe me, they're calling you. Yes, your grandparents who walked in the No Kings rally, Pam Bondi said that you're a terrorist, you're a Hamas terrorist, and you're an anti-fascist terrorist. And we're going to do to you what we did to the Venezuelans. Well, what did they do to the Venezuelans? They murdered them. We're all stuck here, folks. Brown, black, Muslim, white. They're coming after all of us. It's us against the elites. It's us against the 1%. It's us against the white supremacists. It's us against the fascists. And this is a moment where we have to go all in. And furthermore, like Qasim and I, we tried to bring some receipts in the past 20 minutes. If you think the Democratic establishment, led by Schumer and Jeffries, are going to get you to the promised land, I don't know how to help you, man. I just got to say good luck. Inshallah, may God be with you. But I'm going to take the majority in the caravan and move forward because you're going to be stuck in quicksand. They ain't going to change. Look at what they did to Mamdani. Look at during the 2024 election. Look at literally yesterday with Henry Cuellar. You have a moment, throw him under the bus. Oh, no, let's embrace him. When it came to embracing immigrants, Muslims, transgender people, they threw them under the bus at the beginning of the year. Go for those right now who are standing for Somalis and immigrants and Muslims. And I will say this, thank you to Qasim for doing Piers Morgan yesterday. They begged me to come on. I was super exhausted and busy. Then they said they have Qasim and my other friend, Omar Badar. I'm like, they got it. If you can, real quick, can you tell people who you debate in and how this is the present and future of the GOP? Because I've been warning people, Qasim, because they're not in the muck of it like I am. They're not masochists. After Trump dies, and he's dying, this ain't over. They've gone full neo-Nazi and white nationalist stuff. The Groypers have taken over. Talk to us about what you had to endure yesterday.
Well, I debated two people. One guy, Robert O'Neill, a U.S. Navy SEAL, who bragged to me about killing more people than Jeffrey Dahmer killed, and he thought that was a flex, which left me kind of flabbergasted. And
Is that the guy who claims to have killed bin Laden?
That's right. That's the guy. Yeah. And he was defending war crimes against Venezuela and Venezuela's fishermen and pretending that it wasn't a clear-cut international war crime. And the other one was Valentina Gomez, who I think that's her name, who ran for Secretary of State in Missouri on wanting to kill gay people, got 7% of the vote, and now she's running for Congress in Texas on the platform of wanting to kill Muslims. And this is the point that I think you're making, Wajahat, that she is not the anomaly anymore. That's what's become mainstream among Republican establishment. The fact that she's being allowed to run, and the fact that the party is not coming out and saying, we disavow this 100%, is an indictment of who they are. Randy Fine, an elected congressman, is openly saying that he wants to watch Gaza burn. He wants to watch every one of them suffer and starve to death. It's no different than what she's saying. He's an elected congressman. She's trying to get into Congress. And this is exactly why it is critical we recognize this moment for what it is. If you are waiting for a loud siren that fascism is here, this is your siren. This is what it looks like. Someone like her gets elected. Do you really think she's going to have any tolerance for anyone? No, she is going to find ways to continue to perpetuate her genocidal ideology. And this is who I debated. It's up on my Substack. It's up on my YouTube if you want to watch it for yourself. But I just want to emphasize once more, this is not hyperbole anymore. This is somebody running for Congress on the platform of wanting to kill all Muslims. Replace Muslims with Jews. Replace Muslims with black people, or with trans people, or with immigrants, or with somebody in your life that you care about. And however you would react is how we need you to react right now and stand up and say, this is wrong. We will not tolerate it.
And I'll end with this. I know Qasim has to go. If you think me and Qasim are just being hyperbolic and we're emotional because we're brown and Pakistani and Muslim, trust the evidence of your eyes and your ears. Nick Fuentes has openly praised Hitler. Nick Fuentes is a proud white Christian nationalist. Nick Fuentes was actually deemed an anti-Semite by the ADL, and now he's been replaced by Miss Rachel, which is hilarious, but I digress. Nick Fuentes has openly said that he believes that America should be for whites and white Christians only. Nick Fuentes said that Hitler was based. That Nick Fuentes. When given an opportunity to denounce Nick Fuentes, Don Jr. didn't take it. When given an opportunity to denounce Nick Fuentes recently, Donald Trump, yet again, didn't do it. In fact, he dined with him in a post-anti-Semitic Kanye 2.5 years ago. When given an opportunity to throw Nick Fuentes under the bus, Tucker Carlson, seeing where the wind was blowing, did a rapprochement with him and teamed up with him. Kevin Roberts of the influential Heritage Foundation that published Project 2025, Seeing Where the Wind is Blowing, did not throw Tucker Carlson under the bus, which has caused a schism within the Republican Party. Katie Miller, who is a proud Jew and married to Stephen Miller, on CNN a couple of days ago, I don't know if you saw this, Qasim, was asked to condemn Nick Fuentes, an anti-Semite, and didn't do it.
I missed that. Wow. But not
This
surprising. Wow.
This is the present and future of the GOP after Trump goes. And Laura Loomer last week on Twitter said, Laura Loomer said it, the GOP has a Nazi problem. They're coming after all of us. And I fear for Somalis. I fear for Muslims. This is an unhinged level of anti-Muslim bigotry that is coming from the top that I have not seen ever. Because even George W. Bush, for all his war crimes, I am old enough to remember George W. Bush at least came out and said, you know, our fight isn't with Islam and Muslims. There are many peaceful Muslims here. You're welcome here. Remember that speech he gave?
I do. Although I'm not as, just to be honest, I'm not as optimistic as you are, because he did also say that God told him to invade Iraq.
He's a terrible piece of shit. What I'm talking about is performance. I'm talking about performative. They at least, you know, performatively pro immigrant. Bush administration, the Bush Foundation, I joke that if George W. Bush ran for president in 2025 as a Republican, they would say, "F you, Muslim lover." That's how bad it's done. Now it's from the top. No dog whistles, no subtlety, no performance. Straight up Zig Heils praising Hitler, praising anti-Semite, praising Nick Fuentes, using white supremacist language of remigrate. This is where we are, folks. So stand up for the Somalis, stand up for the Haitians, stand up for the Afghans, stand up for the Latinos, stand up for the Muslims, stand up for Black folks, stand up for trans people, stand up for those who are deemed anti-fascist, stand up for pro-Palestinian activists. Fascism come for everyone, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, because there are cornered New York City sewer rat, no disrespect to sewer rats, and Donald Trump is one of those guys, Qasim, that I believe he will take down the entire world with him. He's like the Kenneth Branagh's character from the movie Tenet, the Christopher Nolan movie. Once he finds out that he's dying, he goes, well, if I'm dying, the world should die. They're going to bring everything down. And it got leaked today that Republicans have decided to double down on this failed strategy, which is terrible. They're losing. But by doubling down on the hate, that means they're mainstreaming hate. So, folks, I will end on this, in the fact that, Qasim, to echo your words, I'm sure you've seen that I've been very popular in the past week. I allegedly hate all white people. I'm sure you've seen that. I will say this. Qasim and I do not need to see you suffer in order to feel great again. MAGA voters and triple Trumpers need to see people who look like me and Qasim suffer in order to feel, not be, but feel great. I don't need to see you suffer to feel great. I don't want to see you suffer to feel great. Qasim and I, despite the cruelty you dispense against us, against Pakistanis, immigrants, Muslims, people of color, we still want your children to have a great future. We want your family to have affordable health care. We want you to have economic opportunities. We want you to go to good colleges that Qasim and I could afford when we went to school. We want you to have clean air. We want your children and our children to enjoy the best of America. And that's the difference. And it's the big difference between me and Qasim and the hate mongers. For everyone else who is part of the multicultural coalition that includes white people, know that we are in the majority. We have the better story. We have the better barbecues. We have the better looking women. We have the better music. We have the better story. And so if you are still a hate monger, I'm talking about the hate mongers, and a nativist and a racist, you don't have to live your life like this. And in the spirit of generosity, Qasim, I'll say, even despite your hate and cruelty, the Muslim in me, wait for it, the Muslim in me says, I still extend my hand and ask you to join our caravan that is moving forward, because I still believe, I'm very radical when it comes to forgiveness and redemption. I still believe that people, inshallah, can change. So drop this narrative of hate. It's a loser's path. You've already lost. There's no such thing as a master race. There's no such thing as a pure race. Race is a social construct. Join the rest of us. Taste the rainbow. The rainbow's delicious. And inshallah, let's all try to get affordable health care, paid parental leave, clean air, clean water, and a great education for our children. Qasim, final word to you.
I love the fact that we have almost 2,000 people watching this right now. I think that's the most we've ever had, which is amazing. It shows that people really do care about this message and they really are invested in building community. I'll just close with this because I'm way late for my next meeting, which
Same here. I got to go to a meeting.
But I will say, if you do want to support us, subscribe, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Neither one of us have a paywall. If you can become a paying subscriber, if it's not going to break your budget, please do. But we don't have paywalls. If you can be a free subscriber, please do, because we need to build our platforms. The corporate media establishment is being bought out by billionaires for a reason, because they need to try to drive the narrative. You've got the Oracle CEO buying out TikTok and Paramount and CBS, and he's going after HBO. You've got, Musk, who owns Twitter. You've got Zuckerberg, who owns Instagram and Facebook and Threads. The list goes on and on. Bezos owning Washington Post. We need to build these platforms to be able to communicate with the masses directly, and we need your support to make that possible. So if you can subscribe for free, much love to you. If you can subscribe and throw a few bucks, a cup of coffee a month our way, much love to you as well. But above all, maintain that hope and positivity, continue to lean on each other, and continue to fight. We're seeing cracks in the fascist armor that MAGA has, and we need to keep exploiting that to make sure we can revive a sense of humanity and justice in this country. It's happened before, and I'm confident it will happen again.
Yeah, we're going to leave right now because we're horribly late, but Qasim Rashid is a good guy doing good work. Please subscribe to him. If you have a few dollars, please become a paid subscriber. Like me, he's a terrible capitalist, much to the shame of our immigrant parents. There's no paywalls, and I just posted a link. It's going up until tomorrow. I'm such a bad capitalist. I have a 25% off sale, so it's free already, but if you are a free subscriber and you've been watching our content for a year, please become a paid subscriber. I kept this 25% off. I just did the link, Qasim. It's $350 a month, $38 a year. If you don't have the money, give it to Qasim first. And then if you have a few dollars left over, literally it's less than a cup of coffee now. This is how we keep the lights on and how I feed one of my 800 children. But folks, be kind, help Somalis. Please help them and help Afghans. Just stand up for them, folks. Even if it's a tweet or a post, they're really getting it right now. It's a type of ugliness that no one deserves. No one deserves to be called a garbage person simply for existing, and especially if you're of the white complexion and you identify as white. The white skin is a superpower in America. More white people need to see white people reject this shit. So if you can, please stand up for them, because they'll go after Haitians today, Afghans tomorrow, Somalis. And then next time, they're going to go after you. We're all in this together. Thank you all. Be kind, be informed, and please, oh, please don't be a fascist. Qasim, let's you and me run to our meetings that we're late for. Take care, everybody.
Stop.